is available on our Discord channel.
Okay, so sorry, Michal. I think we have a small technical issue, and I know probably all our introduction weren't heard by guys.
I see that on our live session here, there's nothing happening. There's no.
Yeah, it's my mistake. Sorry, guys. So I think everything we have to start once again. So.
I think I see something happening now.
Yeah, now it's starting. Yeah, I make mistake and I don't put the live. I thought that it will go automatically, but it didn't. So yes, sorry, sorry guys. So once again, happy to hear you and see you. My name is Wojtek Krulik. I am Focal School community manager.
Yeah. Focal Point School community.
Yeah, exactly. Focal Point School. Yes, exactly. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous because of this mistake. So yeah, happy to see you once again. I hope. So as I said previously. Today's stream will take around 1 hour up to 2 hours. If you have any questions, just write them on the chat. I will read it. And ask Michal in behalf of you. So once again, welcome our teacher Michał Kus, and how are you once again?
Is completely gone. You destroyed the moment, Wojtek.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. It happens, technical issues. We're not doing this often enough, so I guess that's a sign. That's why we have these. We tested everything, so but there is always something. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Wojtek, for always being here as a helping hand. We would not be able to do it without him. All the events, every time we are in touch. First line of contact, that's Wojtek. He's a real hustler, and we are eternally grateful for his help. Like I said earlier, but I again don't know if I have to repeat it. I'll just repeat it. Since the start of our school in 2018, since we both founded it together with Darek, we have this. We find it more and more satisfactory to really channel the knowledge. Design is not easy. It is harder than drawing and modeling on its own, but that's only my opinion. And we try to pack all these aspects and knowledge and all these things together with updated lectures every time in always our upcoming term, which we always update. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm back. That was just a small hassle. And yes, since we have been doing this, the satisfactory level is amazing. Since then, tons of students have been found a job, made their dreams come true. And to me, I love doing concept design on my own. We love working, me and Darek both love working on personal projects. But when you also can help people out in realizing their dreams and you see it taking effect, that's the most beautiful thing. So we started recently to also be more and more active outside of the classroom. We had a scholarship. We had one contest that Darek did last time before spring term, I believe, which was a Witcher themed contest. This time it is Star Wars. And in specific, we are redesigning a TIE fighter, the Imperial TIE fighter. The brief can be downloaded still. You're still not too late. We still have a good couple of weeks left before the deadline. So if you're just joining this, I welcome you with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of hype to this contest. I think the brief is detailed enough to inspire you, give you enough information so you can get to work. It is basically slightly an alternative setting of what happened after episode 6. So I disregard what is happening in the last trilogy of Star Wars movies. So there's no First Order, all these other things, they didn't happen. So the known, the canon events are left as they were in the original trilogy, so to speak. It takes place in the future, so we want to try and see how students will tackle a very well-known design language, and how they will mix that with, you know, what they believe will look like 300 years from now, right? And the reason why I did the briefing like that is because in the movies, both the First Order and the Galactic Empire, right, they have been not around for very long, right? Like couple of years, that's it. So they don't have, you know, a timestamp, like a historical timestamp of what a long-lasting empire will look like, evil or not. So a good reference point might be, you know, the Roman Empire again, right? So how will these fighters develop if the empire would be around for 100 years, right? So that is extremely interesting. And that is why I wanted to, of course, you know, draw a little bit with you, show you what I've been up to. First, I wanted to show you like my reference sheet. I will go later in detail what I think, how I dissect reference. But this is basically, you know, a small mixture selection of, well, a couple of artists that I really like. Like here, this is Brian Soom's work. And this is nowhere near where I want the TIE Fighter to look like. But I just like how he's distributing the detail, right? Then, for example, you might ask, what is an Aston Martin doing here? Well, I was thinking, you know, that one of these fighters, you know, like a special forces fighter, like the Red Baron from the First World War, what if we would make it red, right? So one of the variations I did actually is red, you know, like one of the TIE fighters here. So this is a nice reference point when it comes to materials. See how the sun is affecting this material. See how the sky is affecting it in the ambience. And you can see basically that I'm trying to mimic that here, right? So this is a nice example of, you know, the nice juicy stuff that we also teach at school after we done the design process, right? A couple of other examples. Of course, some Star Wars examples. You know, you cannot go without the pure reference of the TIE Fighter. So here's like a close-up of the TIE Fighter. I do have, you know, more reference of TIE Fighters, but this is like the overall sheet, right? Like, what are my main points? And of course, here is, you know, this is a toy or a model, but it just shows what the proportions are of the TIE Fighter, right? And remember that we are sticking to this form factor, right? So we are not, you know, making super deviant alterations, right? So we keep in mind that, you know, like this is kind of the TIE Fighter, right? Kind of, but we are not like doing super crazy wings, right? Like pointy and then like, yeah, this is my version, or like, you know, oh, I want to make it a double, you know, like a double TIE Fighter, and I'm gonna stick, you know, 2 cockpits, or, you know, 4 cockpits with a huge laser cannon. No, you're changing here the whole form factor, right? So we are really strict about the form factor. And again, the reason why I decided to do it, because, well, the contest needs to be fun, but at the same time, we're trying to introduce you guys what the client demands most of the time when you're working in-house or freelance. Usually, when you are working, you are being tasked to join an already existing universe. It rarely happens that you, well, might depend on your luck, or, you know, how you handle yourself. But most of my jobs have been that I join already an existing universe, right? Also, when you look at Darek's art, right? His all these clients that he had from Ubisoft, EA, like Need for Speed franchise, the Assassin's Creed franchise, and then I also did stuff for Hitman franchise, and lately for the Sonic movie. These are all hard embedded universes that the client takes care of. They really take care, about their IP, and it is our job to really capture the essence and the design language of all these IPs and try to make iterations, right? So that is why we also do a Star Wars theme here, right? We are really going here for joining something that is very well known, set in our pop culture, but we are going to give it a fresh look, right? What would happen 300 years from now, right? So before I move on and talk a little bit about what I come up with, are there any questions so far? I always care for a little bit of interaction, so instead of me just doing a monologue all the time, so let me guys know. Wojtek, are there any questions?
Yeah, for now I don't see any, but if there will be, I will really ask you. So don't be afraid. I'm monitoring everything. And yes.
I don't hear you well. Something is going on. Can you repeat what you said?
Yes, I say that I'm looking for the chat. For now, there is no any questions, and I will ask you if they show up. So guys, don't afraid. If you have any questions, just ask. I hope everything for now is hearing, and you can hear and view correctly. I hope so. If not, let me know.
Yeah. There is some disturbance going on, but I understood there are no questions so far, so we can move on. So for those of you guys that, if you're new to the stream, or you already started with the contest, I do wanted to talk a little bit about my thought process and how I tackled it. Please bear in mind that I didn't have the time in the world to sit seriously on it. So this is the result of just doing some doodles at one free evening on a Friday evening, like a week ago, or it was a Saturday, I don't remember. I sat down and I was trying to, of course, immerse myself in the brief that is posted on our Discord channel, and I started to just doodle around, right? And how I try to tackle it is that I don't have yet a specific idea in mind, this is how the TIE fighter will look like. I just know one thing. So hold on, just make a new layer. I just know a couple of things that I want to have from the bat, right? So no matter the amount of iterations, I will always keep in mind the form factor, right? Which is the side panels, the solar panels on the side, right? Here's some cockpit, and the eye in the middle. I think also the Rebel Alliance was also calling it the flying eye. I'm not a super Star Wars nerd, so you can guys correct me. So it is cool to maybe also really keep the cockpit as it is a real focal point and a point of attention, right? So for example, when we look at this design, right? It is not maybe screaming Star Wars at once, right? I do agree that it doesn't have this iconic Star Wars vibe here, right? Like the Star Wars Imperial fighter really feels like it's a mass-produced vehicle. It definitely feels sci-fi because of its form factor. But it also has this, everywhere it has this intrigue detail going on almost, right? Like here. And that is perhaps what makes it look Star Wars. But remember, we are trying to take some risks here, and we are trying to, not just with the same amount of detail and just, change here the shape a little bit and, oh yeah, that's my new starfighter, right? No, we are keeping the form factor the same, but what is happening inside of that form factor, so the way how everything is laid out, the way how the panels are connecting, the way how the angular panels are, formed and manufactured, the style of manufacturing, right? We can all play with that and try to push it further as if it is more streamlined and sophisticated, right? Remember, here the TIE fighter was part of an empire that existed 5 years before they were defeated. And now we are basically in, the second rise of the empire. And then they have been around for 100 years now, right?
Okay.
Plus it's 300 years in the future.
Okay, I have a question about the style, because you're talking about the Star Wars style, and we have the question from Brush Runner. Looking at your TIE fighters, they look very Michał Kus. Does your art style ever get in the way of the designing for a client? So, do you get it, or?
Yeah, I'll have to read that because the disturbance from you is just, I cannot hear you well. Hold on. Looking at your TIE fighters, they look very Michal Kusi. Well, that's not how you spell my name, but that's fine. Does your art style ever get in the way of the designs for a client? Good question, but no. And I think the reason in the end is that maybe like most of the time clients do hire me for that particular style, but not always. Like, for example, when I have to be versatile and join like, we talked about an existing franchise, then I really have to rethink and reset my mind. Art directors, a good art director will always help and guide me towards the path that they want, right? That is why it's so important to work in a team, right? Like, we like the ego boost as an artist, let's be honest, right? And I don't want you to, be enveloped too much by all the likes that you might get on Instagram. Like, professionally, it doesn't mean much, right? All these likes. In the end, are you a good communicator? Aside from being a solid concept artist, are you a good communicator? Can you take critique well? And can you, be versatile when it comes to all these styles? And in the end, I think every artist has their own signature style. When I look at Darek's works, for example, I know right away that's him, and that's amazing about art, right? Like, that is, we design, but we use art to communicate. And I do agree with you that they look definitely like how I would want a TIE fighter maybe to look like. Although, I talked internally with my friends, and again, Darek was amongst them, that they need to look more Star Warsy, right? And that's why it's also work in progress. Like, I do like how I treated this, because this reminds me of the traditional TIE fighter, but I leaned away again because this just feels like, it's like what I'm trying to think when I'm designing is, okay, so 100 years ago, when the First World War was around, right? A plane looked something like this, right? You had all this intrigue, detail, right? You had these biplanes that you had, right? And you had this like these albatross fighting planes, right? Here was like the chunky propeller with some detail sticking out, right? Here we had like another wing coming, all right? So this is a very shitty drawing, but I hope you know what I mean, right? And over time, and we are not even 100 years later, well, 100 years later, and we have like sleek ass jet fighters, right? They have like a super nice, they are becoming also sharp. They have these sharp edges going on. They have no propellers anymore. Look how silly that would look, right? They have these nice sleek wings, right? They have these super nice, cool shapes going on, right? Because they go faster. We master the materials. We master, over time, how to come up with better shapes for aerodynamics, right? And that is basically, the process of design. So we want to mimic that in the Star Wars universe, right? So over time, I really feel like the technology will develop so much that they would not want to have all these details sticking out, right? Like here in the original, right? Like here, this looks like an exposed alternator or something, you know, like a exposed car part, you know. So what if they sleek it down and cover it up nicely? If they would have like nice paneling going on, and then yeah, that was kind of my idea, right? But still keeping some of the details sticking out, so we do maintain that Star Wars DNA, right? So that when people see it, they want to see Star Wars, but like with a new nice coat around it, like it really happens in the future, right? And the main difference as well is that the Empire lasted for a long time, right? They had a lot of time to figure out how to, you know, how to make their standard fighter be more productive friendly, more efficient, etc. So that was the thought behind it. And I think when you look at planes from real life, I think that could be the best example, right? Like literally, when you look at fighters from 1914, you don't want to just, you know, take this fighter and attach, you know, bigger wings or more sleek wings, you know, or just laser guns and call it a fighter from the future. No, you really have to redefine what the future holds. The main difference, of course, is here that here the form factor kind of changes too, right? And we don't want that here, right? We want to keep that same form factor. It doesn't mean that we have to keep these wings also. We don't have to keep these wings like super hexagonal, right? If you come up with, you know, something, you know, so this would be like from the side, for example. If you come up with something like this, you know, that would be cool, like from the side, and here we'll have like a laser cannon sticking out, right? Something like this, right? And like maybe a cool idea, maybe like here in a triangle, like I also did in some of my designs, and then this will be like the port where because these panels can rotate, if I'm not mistaken, for like maneuvering in the atmosphere. I might be mistaken though. So yeah, keep in mind the form factor, yeah, and don't deviate, right? Because there are a lot of TIE Fighter variants anywhere, right? I know that, for example, the TIE Fighter Advanced has this kind of wings, right? So they angle a little bit, so the cockpit is somewhere like here in the middle, right? And they angle inwards, right? I think Darth Vader was flying one of these. Then there is, you know, the TIE Interceptor that had these triangle wings, which is very cool and aggressive, right? It has something like this going on. And they are all very cool, but this is a different form factor already, right? Like it is very radical change from the main shape, right? And I think here you can all see that these are all different designs, right? Like the detail distribution might be different. The paneling is different, you know, like especially here and here, or like here it like bulges out because it covers all the mechanics. This one feels different to me as well, but their main shape is being maintained, right? So that is definitely a feature that I was really trying to fight with and stick to. So yeah. Let me remove the clutter.
Yeah, so we have the following question from Ice. So are we higher with acceptation of matching the current art style, or are expected to add a new style or our own style?
I think that is a very good question, because it really, I understand how upcoming artists might feel. We talk about it extensively in class as well. But in order to keep it short, I really want to stress upon the fact that clients want good designers, right? Yes, there is such a thing as a trendy way of showing your art. You know, like for a while, everyone was, making the, like, hold on. New layer. Everyone was for a while making, these huge, vast landscapes with a dude standing somewhere here and like a nice composition with, some kind of huge tower or ruin in the background and spiky mountains, and, boom, you have, piece of concept art. This is what we have to do. And then you see like people copying each other. And it's fun to do, don't get me wrong, but is it good design, you know? Like, how does the castle look, you know? Draw me out the castle, because we want to make a level out of it, you know? So this might be the floor, you know? This might be the main shape. What kind of props are laying around this castle? You know, we have to draw it out, or model it out, whatever your tool is, right? But I stress, we stress at school, both me and Darek, we always talk about the fundamental skills, you know? Like, even now with AI going on, I see no reason almost to be afraid of our jobs being taken, because, well, if AI becomes like really self-conscious like we do, then maybe, yeah, we can be afraid. But right now it is called AI. But what I think it actually is, it's an advanced search tool system, right? So 10 years ago, you were like Googling, you know, huge mountains, atmospheric, you know, that was your prompt in Google. And it will show you like a bunch of nice photos. Now it got a little bit more specific, because there is a program, a nice tool that can clutter images together from the internet and show you several outputs, right? So that is cool. And to answer your question, go back. I think it is super important to keep the trends secondary and really focus on being a good designer. When you're interested in concept art, that is, because we also have a lot of people that are only interested in illustration, right? So they only focus on the fundamental skills. But also as an illustrator, you have to be aware how design works. If you get a piece of a design from a concept artist, right? Like, for example, to show you guys an example. Open these two references for later, we can talk about it, but just open, for example, a piece of artwork, right? Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so it's boring line drawing without any fancy shading or something. No, this is not the way I wanted it. Please open it, yeah, like this. So, for example, a concept artist might decide to, you know, come up with a design, and they can deliver it in many ways. You know, they can deliver it here as a boring line drawing, accompanied maybe with a couple of side views, right? So that they have like side views, top, side, right? Top here, so that the modeler has information and that the illustrator also has the information what the proportions are. But even an illustrator also needs to know how design works, how to see things in space, right? Sometimes they get delivered a block out, a 3D model, you know, but not always. So you cannot only rely on tools all the time. The skills need to be totally within you. It's like walking, right? Like a dentist needs to know at all times, you know, how a starting cavity looks like, how many teeth are there by default in the mouth of a human being, right? These are all things that we need to do, right? Drawing, sketching things out are super helpful, because you are the one being responsible for every single small line that you do, right? Photo bashing can be very restrictive and limited, even though it gives you right away a realistic feel, but you're not fully in control, right? And an illustrator might take it over, you know. So sometimes in the production pipeline, the concept artist will have to move on to the next design, right? And so the illustrator takes over and makes a nice, fancy drawing or illustration from it. You know, it can either, you know, just take this and, you know, render it out, or they take it from a different angle, whatever the brief is, right? Because illustrators, they are more focused on composition as well, right? Composition for like marketing illustrations are more important most of the time. But not always, because, for example, I am more related to hardware and prop design, even though I love doing environments, and I'm working right now on a couple of environment designs. But if you, for example, again see the difference of the two founders of Focal Point. So when you look at Darek Zabrocki's work, he is like really, and he can do everything, but he's really focused on, you know, the composition or the keyframe, the lighting, the atmosphere, suggesting the architecture, style, you know, the coloring, everything. And I am more, you know, focused on, you know, taking, for example, one of his vehicles, right, that he like suggested in his cool keyframe, and then I like draw it out, make more iterations. And so you can see that concept design can have, you know, a wide range of skill sets that are necessary. And when you're good at it, yeah, the jobs will be like basically given to you, really. Not saying that I'm good at it, but like, well, I work my ass off to be able to make it my living, of course, right? So couple of, maybe a nice example to show the difference in what kind of concept art there is out there, so you guys, you know, can be more aware of it. So this is, for example, like, just to show a good example. This might be a good example. There you go. Right, so remember, right? So this is my, for example, my initial piece of concept art, like a more detailed sketch, you know, I made some variations, right? And this is then, and this is, you know, what, hey, where is it? Hold on. I just opened it. There you go. And this is, for example, how Darek tackles it, right? And again, he can also do like a vehicle like this, but you know, what his style is, right? We talked about style. What his style is, for example, is to, you know, deliver concept art like this, right? So nothing is maybe as detailed. Why is it jumping like this? Okay, not everything is as detailed, but here we have like different information, right? That I don't show off at all, right? Here we have, you know, the lighting, composition, the character. There is a story behind it, you know, there is, you know, a mood, there is, you know, cracks in the ground. I think it's very important to, you know, point out, you know, the vast array that we also cover, yeah, at school, you know, how to tackle concept design, right? And the step that takes next to it, because this is not always the initial step. Sometimes this is the first step. Sometimes this is the first step. But from my experience, sometimes, you know, we work with, I work with another group of concept artists that, you know, deliver me these kind of sketches. I deliver them a couple of sketches. Sometimes I have to, you know, figure out, you know, the art director tells, yeah, okay, here's like the mood, but here somewhere there's, you know, a cave, you know, entrance to a cave. How would that, you know, look like, right? So how would it look like from up close, right? So again, I might tackle it again like this ship and really go into detail how the entrance looks like. Maybe there are some like barrels next to the entrance of the cave, right? Maybe there is some like warning signs, or just like a story, like a skeleton is laying there, you know, to tell, you know, there is, you know, something going on here. Maybe some light speckles, maybe some traces that it was an old mine, so there are like cars going in and out. You see, guys, where I'm getting to, right? Everything has its own step, and everything is important in the end, right? As you can see, that is, I think, also what concept art, what makes concept art beautiful, and something that is not being talked about much. Because I understand if you are an aspiring concept artist, and well, you love video games, movies, books, and you go on ArtStation, you only see the pretty super rendered picture. And that might sometimes construct a false construct of what concept design actually is. So, yeah.
So in the design concept art field, almost everyone can find their place. Yeah. So some people that like very detailed designs and very crispy, but also like someone that can like showing more the mood of the scene, of the key shots. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there are different steps, and sometimes it takes place in a chronological order. So, you know, step one, sketches, step two, step three. Step three is then the mood sketches. But right now, for example, I learned that on the recent project I'm working on, there has been back and forth, right? So they've designed, they had some mood sketches first, and now I'm coming in to to draw out some sketches. Then the other artist will take it again, polish it up a little bit. Then I might correct the polishing after that artist to show what I had in mind. So it's a real collaboration and a real teamwork, right? So, and with some projects, you're only responsible for it. With some projects, it's a real team effort. It is really also not set into stone, but yeah, be ready that overall you have to be ready to work in a team. And yeah, of course, drop your ego in order so that the project will be successful, right? So yeah.
Okay, so
let me see, guys. Yeah.
So maybe this question will also like a nice follow-up of what you're talking. It's more like for the younger designers from Ahmed. Ahmed is asking, when you want to make design for portfolio for specific studio game, how to find pattern and common in artworks and make your design have the same DNA from this game design like in the Thai brief.
Yeah, I will have to read that question, I think, because I was not able to understand what you say at all. Like the connection, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Let me see. When you want to make, so Ahmed Hassan Abbas says, when you want to make design for portfolio for specific studio game, how to find the pattern that common in artworks and make your design have the same DNA from this game design like the Thai brief. I think we covered that kind of already by really embracing, existing IPs and working with a strong amount of communication with your art directors, your peers, in order to listen to them, take feedback critically, because, well, you will be going through a lot of variations, a lot of sketches, and you have to be ready to get used to it that maybe between 15 and 30% of your work that you do for a client might get used, because at first your initial steps will be just thrown away in the end, right? You just give a bunch of fast ideas to get the topic starting, right? And again, in order to melt yourself and be consistent with the DNA of an existing project is, again, well, observation skills, being able to really immerse yourself in the project that you're currently working on, and communication. Communication is like after your drawing, design, fundamental skills, your communication skills are one of them important, right? Like how do you talk? How do you communicate? Are you clear? Are you asking the right questions so you don't end up with too much work, right? Like not always, like when you're working with a superior, for example, like an art director, for example, is sometimes very busy, right? He works with 20 other concept artists, for example. He has meetings on his mind, so he doesn't sometimes have the time to think about everything that he actually has to, because, well, no wonder, we're all human beings. But try to immerse yourself, okay, what will I be struggling with, or what will my obstacle be if I start working on that task that I was briefed on, right? Like what are maybe the missing information, what is maybe not sure? Don't hesitate, always ask. Even if you're sometimes bothering the art director too much, it is always better to ask and communicate before you commit time to it. Because once you start committing time to it, and it was not necessary or not clearly communicated, and something that could have just been solved with one simple question, then yeah, it is just a waste of time and resources. So communication is, apart from what I just mentioned, is again one of the most important things, and that will help you to join and to be immersed as well in a given IP, right?
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, but I think like also that Ahmed was thinking about when he want to take the new job for making a portfolio for specific studio, and just before he started working for them, how to prepare this portfolio to have, like, this DNA of the company that he want to work.
Well, research the company, right? So, for example, if you want to work for Rockstar Games, right? First of all, I will personally never take that risk. But if you really want to, then yeah, of course, follow your dreams. I cannot be the one to judge you what you should do. So if you're going that far, make sure that you know enough about the company. When you feel ready, show them, send them samples of, that you think might be of good contribution. Show them, again, designs that are, of course, not copies, but can be like a good idea for their next Grand Theft Auto game, or, all the other games that they made. But they have this specific style, right? Like they have the line drawing with the strong colors going on. And they developed that, I guess, since GTA 3, and they have been developing it ever since, right? So that is a good example of researching that, see how you can deliver maybe your designs in that style. So to give them a reason, like you have to think about a reason why you should be, helpful for them, right? Like why should they pay you money in order to, to get hired? So if you ask yourself a question then a lot of the questions get answered pretty quickly. Maybe you have some amazing ideas for their upcoming title or their franchise, right? And you can stun them with your drawing style that you have adjusted for them, right? But that is a very slippery slope because you're playing all your cards for one. It's very, very small. So if you instead just work on your design skills overall, well, that opens you pretty much for the whole industry, right? So that is why you should watch out. But again, I know tons and tons of people that, they just wanted to be an illustrator for Magic the Gathering. And they fucking did, right? They just grinded, they worked hard, right? They got their fundamentals, plus they were just working according to that style that Magic the Gathering needs. And they did it, right? And that is something that I respect, and that is something that you can do. It's just not something that I personally advise. That's it. But that's only my opinion. That's it. Here I'm finishing. So I'm sorry. I was just I wanted just to move on with the demo. So after I made these kind of sketches. We do these kinds of demos in class often, like me, both and Darek. We love, interacting with the students, drawing, so they can see the thought process, they can ask questions while we're doing it. So these are like one of the doodles. I picked, certain elements that I liked. So I, for example, really like, that we maintain, of course, the cockpit, like here, so.
So also we have the 2 questions about your process. So actually it will be good way to ask them now.
Sure.
Do you always start sketches in perspective, or do you do orthos first? This first one, and second one, are you starting with slight thumbnails, or are you going straight to the line art? Yeah, they are a bit bigger. From one is from Nathan. And one is from Sandra.
Okay, I'm sorry, I cannot understand what you're saying, so I have to read these questions on my own. You said Sandra? Okay, I will answer Sandra's questions. Are you starting with silhouette or are you going straight to line art? I pretty much never start with silhouettes, yeah. But again, that is my thing, So there are maybe... No, I don't even have examples in my portfolio, I think, where I started with silhouettes. I just like lines. Lines give me a nice, like I can draw out a silhouette pretty fast and I can start suggesting detail. And that is how I like it. But, again, I know people, artists that just work only with silhouette, and they just do amazing works. So again, remember, guys, that there is no way of what I want to get to is that we at school don't teach like, hey, you have to paint and render and have the exact process like Darek Zabrocki, otherwise you're not going to be as successful as him, for example. I also don't teach in my classes, hey, you have to draw like me, otherwise you get nowhere. No, that's not it. We teach design, the fundamentals, how you tackle it, that's up to you, right? We will always advise that fundamentals are super, necessary, right? Because I see no way how you can tackle good design without good fundamentals. But how you take those fundamentals and execute it in your way, that's up to you, right? Is it silhouette? Are you going to sketch a little bit, go into 3D, and then slap photos on top of it, overpaint? Like, that's all up to you. Try it out, experiment, and look what is the best for you, right? That might be also one of the best advices, right? To give, to just look for your own process, right? It is okay to do a study of another concept artist, like, oh, I want to make concept art just how they made all the concept artists for The Last of Us, for example, right? Beautiful title, beautiful concept art. Everything is crispy, beautiful, right? But you don't have to do it, right? You don't have to do that style alone to be in the industry, right? What matters is good design. And of course, if you want to show good design, so you're showing good ideas, you have to have strong fundamentals, right? Because strong fundamentals will allow you to have a variety of options at your disposal to choose which way is your way of showing your ideas. Is it silhouettes? Is it photo bashing? Is it 3D and then overpaint, or only 3D, or only painting? That's all up to you, right? I like line art. I love it. I always loved it. It also stays me connected always to how I used to draw in the beginning. I keep on developing it. And even though, especially my professional work, I like 80%, I always involve some 3D into it. Sometimes a very simple block out. Sometimes I go like almost full on detail. But I always like that traditional aspect, right? So, but that is me. Going back to what I really liked about all of these is some of them I ended up not liking. So I don't like this jaw here anymore. It looks like some kind of dozer. It looks too beefy. It could be maybe slimmed down. I like the overall maybe aggressive shape, but this is just taking too much attention. I don't like this cut anymore. I used to kind of like it, but I don't like it. It doesn't fit something that the Empire will do. It's too organic, right? These shapes are too organic, right? So I really made like a deal with myself. Okay, the next batch will focus on sharper shapes. So I kind of had it with this one, and I really like where this is going, right? Like it has like this very aggressive front, right? So apart from the eyeball-like cockpit, I want to, give it some streamlining. Again, this is the Empire in the very far future. I mean, 100 years, 300 years in total. They've been around again for 100 years. So it's not like 1,000 years, but it's still much longer than they have been around for originally, right? And I take this design language and I try to repeat it, everywhere, right? So that's consistency. So I took that and I made a more detailed sketch out of it, right? And that is then my kind of design process, right? So I maintained here this kind of aggressive shape, and here we have kind of that jaw effect going on, right? So this looks almost like the side of like teeth going on, but not literally. It's just the feeling. Here we have the eyes, kind of, of the new TIE fighter, but in the middle we want to keep that centerpiece, right? Also pretty angular. The only thing that is round here is the glass inside that square frame, and with rendering on top of that, it will be slightly more visible, I hope. And that is why, well, I want to start the render. We can talk, answer questions, see how far we go with this. So yeah, so
the second question was, do you start with 3D or with ortho? So what you prefer to start?
Orthos are something that I do only if requested by the clients. So, and usually I just provide them first with with the 3D blockout, so that they can basically make the orthographic views on their own. You know, if they have the perfect proportional design from me in 3D, right, and it doesn't have to be like super detailed, just like the main shapes, and on top of that I delivered them, you know, a sketch like this, then they have enough information already to make an in-game model out of it, for example, right? So that is how I tackle it. It is not always necessary to, you know, give the orthographic views. Also depends on what kind of clients you're working with, what kind of people. What I learned that when a 3D modeler is able to like see your shapes and proportions clearly from like one view, you know, and they don't really need a concept from the rear, you know, because sometimes I just have to move to the next one, and they just have this amount of resources. A talented 3D artist can basically like also capture your design language and kind of repeat it with consistency from the rear, right? Not always, because from experience, I've been working with two kinds of 3D modelers, right? Like 3D modelers that are artists, and then 3D modelers that have more like an engineering building background, right? So they need the exact details, the exact measurements, and they need all the drawings and orthographs and the blockout maybe, so that they can get to work and deliver exactly what you have in mind, right? So again, that is another nice thing to know, you know, with what kind of people you'll have to be working, right? Like everyone differs, and yeah, adjusting yourself to a work environment is, I think, also very, very important, because that makes you a valuable person to work with, you know. So yeah. Here I'm just filling it with color, the design, before I will start like a little shade on it.
Okay, do you hear me? Because I think...
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So we have like more open question also from ICE about IE. Thanks for clearing it up. So,
AI.
AI, yeah. AI.
Yeah.
So as you talk about AI, so many of us will like to know how AI would affect the future of concept art industry, especially the jobs like environment art.
How AI might affect the job industry? Yeah, I have no idea. I am very careful with thinking what will happen, because, you know, I don't know. I really don't know what will happen. I think the future is interesting. I think as of now it is a very helpful tool. But my personal thoughts, if you guys care, is first of all, I think the AI generator that is now being called AI, to me, that's not real AI. Like, it's not really intelligence, is it? Like, it's not really intelligent. Like, let's be honest. It's like, it is a program that is very well programmed by other very intelligent people that are able to, you know, mix images, mash them together and output them nicely, right? But it's not intelligent to a point that it exactly, like, for example, prompt in TIE Fighter future 300 years from now, like type in the whole briefing to that AI and see what you get, right? So it's not really intelligent. It really doesn't read what you mean and takes it into consideration and meaning, right? It just takes these words and aligns them according to the data that it has on the servers or internet. I don't know. I don't know how it is also constructed. That's the thing. But usually I personally get very bad results, and I tried it. Sometimes it's like, oh, that's a cool result, and that's it, you know. So for now it's a tool, right? But it will be interesting when that tool will become really intelligent. Like, because when a tool on itself becomes intelligent, then it's not a tool anymore, right? Because then it's an entity on its own. Like your friend that you're working with, for example, you cannot call him your tool. He is now a sentient being able to do what you do as well. So that will be really interesting to see what will happen. For now, it's really just a tool, yeah. And I won't call it like real AI. For me, real AI is like real artificial intelligence, right? Like artificial intelligence that is like that you can almost have like a conversation, like as if with a human being. But that's only what I think, you know.
Yeah, but I also think similar because, but also when it will start to be as intelligent as you say, you can just think about him like another artist. So
yeah. Right now you cannot think of it as another artist, right? It is a very handy tool. Don't get me wrong, but it maybe at some points you can call it intelligent. Like that's the thing. Like what is intelligence? What is conscious? So I guess we are like really. Dropping off from the main topic, but it's another interesting topic to talk about, right? Because it really dives down to, consciousness and how do you rate intelligence, right? Because if you go and talk to a rabbit and you prompt to a rabbit, hey, give me, a nice image of a mountain and a castle, it won't be able to do it, even though a rabbit possesses some intelligence, right? So that is interesting. It's an interesting topic.
About using about rabbit, so
yeah, I just noticed that's the last name.
Yeah, guys, because my last name means rabbit, so
yeah.
So I think I'm quite intelligent.
Do this on purpose, really. I really just thought of a rabbit, like genuinely. It was not to make fun of you or anything. You're a very smart guy, man. Come on.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let me just pop in here what I need. There you go. I wanted to make this one kind of white, maybe light gray with some accents. So yeah, let's start to do that. Let's make it less boring. Now it looks very, very boring. So let's just start shading it in.
You always work on the full opacity, because I noticed that also a lot of young artists bother with using the transparent brushes. Or how's
right now I'm really blocking in the shapes and everything. So I'm really not caring about any kind of super nice shade effects. So I really just want to. Like I'm using here some opacity, right? But it's still very kind of, bulky, I would say. So like I think like light can come from the same direction as the camera. So we can like start indicating a little bit of these bevels that we designed, right? So again, designing is one thing, right? And then making sure that you are able to present your ideas another. We probably won't have time to like do a full super blown rendering, but maybe like a basic one, right? The one that we also do in class. That's kind of, that's always cool.
So I have the question in Star Wars topic. If you have a lightsaber, what color it would be?
What color this one would be?
Your lightsaber.
My lightsaber?
Yeah. If you
my lightsaber. One. Oh, like if I would have a lightsaber, what color will be? Probably red, man. Red is the color of a lightsaber. I don't know. There's something about red that makes it really cool. Blue is very cool too, but it's like blue light is already very, like I like blue light a lot, but it's already very prominent in a lot of ambient lighting and a lot of night scenes. So a mysterious character standing somewhere in the dark with like a blue haze with also blue lightsaber, to me doesn't have the same kind of impact as a character standing with a contrasting color, right? Because blue and red are both contrasting colors. So
yeah. I am more like green one. I think I'll choose the green one.
The green one. Yeah, I think, rabbits like grass, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Bad joke.
No problem.
Bad joke, sorry.
Yeah, so you are choosing more like the dark side, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And we have like
some highlights here.
We have more like overall question: how to be productive every day?
By thinking long term, right? I think that helps a lot, because everyone will have like days, like I have them too. Like when you feel a little bit down, you feel a little bit less motivated. We are humans, and humans have a lot of emotion going on, right? Because that is what makes us human, a lot of emotions. But it's important that in our work and in our goals, we stay reasonable, that we also introduce a little bit of logical thinking. Some podcasts on that topic might help you, how to struggle with anxiety problems, how to struggle with less productive, how to deal with less productive days. But the main thing that helps me out is always think about the end goal. Like, I have to do it anyway. I really want to achieve it. And I should get that emotion right now out of the way so I can think about, what will happen. So, for example, on a Monday, by Friday, I want to have this ready so I know that I worked enough, and my reward system, my mental reward system will also work more efficiently, because you don't want to every day chill on Hawaii and have cocktails all day, right? Like, for how long can you do that, right? No, you want to do it when you know you did a good amount of work, and then it really feels good, and then you can really reset your mind for the next task, right? So this cycle, this dynamic, I think is very important, I think. Yeah,
great.
I guess that will be, we can talk about it for a long time, but these would be my main points about how to stay motivated. Speaking of motivation, like, it's one of our mottos, right? Motivation, dedication, discipline. Me and Darek thought a long time about it. Like, why is it that motto? Well, motivation, again, is an emotion, right? And it's a very important emotion to deal with, right? Some artists might say, to hell with motivation, it's just an emotion. But, I think emotions are in the end very, very important. They really dictate how we behave, what we feel, how others perceive us. And we are pack animals in the end, and we do in the end care what others think, say, well, maybe not to strangers, but family members and friends. These are like the people that the opinion matters, and along with that comes a lot of emotion. But in work, there comes a time where you have to translate some of that emotion into discipline, right? So the emotion of motivation is very nice, very important, but it doesn't last forever. So when you feel motivated, try to make it a habit. And how to do it? Well, through discipline. And, well, that is also one of our mottos, right? Motivation, dedication, discipline. With dedication, you can reach that. So, yeah, there you go. Very, very cheesy, but in the end, I think it's true. And that is how I tackle, days when they try to get to me and feel like, hey, you're being not productive enough today, right? So how to do that? How to tackle that? So yeah.
I see that No Name also, right? Discipline is the cure.
Definitely, yeah. I totally agree with that. So here in this one, I'm like trying to figure out, the lighting. I'm having fun. I know that like here from behind, there will be like a nicer, bluer color coming in, like a strong ambience, right? So we have like. First, I want to maybe darken it down a little bit. Not sure if white will work, but maybe with accents it will start to look like more, more what I want it to look like. So this is like a face that is like facing the light a little bit more, so it will catch a little bit more light. I imagine that there is like also a light source here coming from the side. Like, so there is one light source here, and there may be another light source from the camera. And then here we can do like a very slight variation in color. I'm thinking a little bit out loud. So, it's a bit of maybe of a chaotic demo. We definitely focus, first on the very basic fundamentals before we move in to more advanced stuff like this. But at least it can give you an idea, right? Like how we tackle it. So you can see like very slow, step by step.
So you use two different light sources with a bit different light color just to pop up the 3D of this object, yeah?
Definitely, yeah, that's a good point. Because I was thinking if the light source is only coming from one side, then this wing will be just a little bit too dark. And I really want also the light coming a little bit from this side, so we can drop a nice shadow over this structure here from the wing. So there's definitely some heavy self-shadowing going on, right, as you can see. So this face will catch. I think it will have the most dark point going on here.
Okay, so we have the questions. How do you approach balancing 3D and 2D? It seems the more I learn in 3D, my 2D skill is falling behind a bit.
I think it is important that you don't force any tool upon yourself. So if you're having right now, like this is the thing with concept art nowadays, that a lot of people think that you have to overwhelm yourself with and saturate yourself with a vast array amount of tools. Well, again, let me try to explain to you guys that is not always the most important thing. What is, again, the most important thing is fundamentals and your design ability. If you do and how you do it, photo bash or traditional only, maybe that really doesn't matter. Of course, we will always recommend working digitally, because in the end it makes you faster, more efficient. But should you also drop the traditional aspect? I don't think so. I love still sketching in traditional media. You can check it out on my ArtStation. Like I have a sketchbook and everything, that I really care for, and I'm really having a lot of fun. But professionally, I'm doing everything digitally. And I never force, okay, this is the piece that I really have to use 3D for because it's fancy and it's trendy. And no, it's just like, if I want to use 3D and I think that my design will benefit from using 3D, then I will do it. But if I'm like having like a design and I'm not sure about it, I don't want to invest too much time in it. There's no reason to like spend hours upon hours to, model it. I just want to have a quick sketch and that's it, Or the other way around, right? Like, I just want to make a quick block out in 3D, but I don't want to spend the time to make like a full blown ass drawing out of it, right? It's all up to you. It's up to you to the tool and what you prefer. Find what works for you, and don't be stressed like, she or he did it in 3D like this, so now I must use 3D. No, what you must do if you want to become a concept designer is to design well. So that is pretty much the main story. This is also the main topic of our school, because yes, in the advanced classes, we do cover all these things. We do cover photo bashing, and we do cover, 3D techniques and how to tackle them. And how to utilize it efficiently so you become more accurate. But it's not, again, a must for good design, right? So I think that is important.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So we have about talking about 3D and 2D about learning. So there's follow-up question can be also from eyes. Now for the eyes once again, please tell us some daily practice exercise or workflow that we should follow in order to learn and improve in a proper direction and go in a proper direction. Sorry.
So hold on, I have to pause it and go through what you just said there, because again, the disturbance in the force is today extremely high. So who asked the question?
Ice. Starting from me again, please tell us some daily practice exercise and workflow.
I think daily exercise, a good daily exercise is maybe a topic that we also want to cover is and that is something that I talk with Darek a lot about, is what do we wish we did when we started off with concept art, what could be done even better, right? And with no doubt, number one, a daily exercise would be, do more studies that are connected to the real world, right? Do more studies, of things that you are interested in, right? You want to become, for example, we are covering vehicle design here a little bit. You're interested in vehicles. Do a set of studies of jet fighters. Do a study set of, for example, scout cars, reconnaissance vehicles that certain countries are using. Research it on history. Why are they shaped and manufactured in the way that they are, right? All these things will help you to become a better designer, right? Are you interested in architecture, landscapes? Well, take your own photos, go to museums, research, different places in the world. You don't have to even travel everywhere. You can use Google Maps. You can even now use AI prompt, right? Like Scandinavian mountains, show me a range, and then it shows you a compilation of images. These would be the daily practices that I would indulge in if I would be starting out today, right? You get faster because we all in the end want to design cool stuff, and you see a lot of starting concept artists starting with, a crazy amount of spaceships and aliens and laser guns and what's not, but they do that all while not being able to design yet, right? So it is tricky. It is tricky because you want in the end to have the foundation first and the knowledge of what the real world has to offer first before you jump into a task like that, right? So very important.
Yeah, but also, I think also it built your mentally library of the real life, yeah. So you can then twist it and make your unique designs basic on the real world. If you practice every day about designing the things that are existed now, yeah.
Definitely. Holy shit! The disturbance is not I'm not able to hear you well. I'm so sorry, Wojtek. But I think what you said is daily exercises on the topic that you're interested in, something like that. I think, is that what you said?
Yeah. It's also, it can help you build your mind library of the real things that exist, and then you can just twist them and create something new.
Yeah, the visual library in your head. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely an important aspect. Yeah, definitely. Building up that visual library is done through absorbing what the real world has to offer first, right? That is a given for sure.
Okay, so about studying. When you were a student, how much do you meticulously plot the perspective of your drawings? I find that I need to calculate all mirroring and form changes. Is this normal?
Okay, so who asked the question? Because I cannot hear what you're saying, man. I'm so sorry. So sorry for this, guys. Really, because I want to draw at the same time while answering questions, but I have to. So Nathan asked it.
Yeah.
Do I have to scroll up a little bit?
No,
or?
It's on the. I don't think.
But now I can hear you well. Can you quickly say it?
Yeah, you hear me now? It's okay.
Yeah, but just talk a little bit slower. Oh, Nathan,
yeah,
when you were a
student.
Okay, yeah, I see. When you were a student, how much did you meticulously plot the perspective of your drawings? I find that I need to calculate all mirroring and forms changes. Is it normal? It is definitely normal. For the record, I've never been like an art student. I was self-taught, but I've been drawing all my life. And yeah, I have been struggling with perspective at first a lot, like really a lot. It has been something that I had to, of course, develop over time. I made, perspective grids before I started every drawing, even the smallest sketches. But through logic and the years of training, I understood it completely, right? And now the goal with our school is to teach it in a couple of weeks, and that is how we kind of. Like, it took us years to acquire the knowledge, but, having a concept art school, we really focus on helping students to, get there faster, basically, right? That is in the end what we want from any educational platform in the end, right? So, don't neglect perspective, very important, right? And I think one of the best exercises that you can do is like take real photos of perspective pieces that you that you find interesting, like a street or piece of architecture, and just start drawing the lines on top of it, right? Like, for example, here we have this plane taken in perspective. Well, imagine if I was about to like I want to, for example, now make this a little bit like see-through, and then on my new layer, right, I will back engineer the perspective. And on hardware pieces and on architecture, you can find cues easily how that perspective is going, right? Man-made objects always have some straight lines and symmetry that we can guide ourselves with, so we can really nicely and quickly find guidelines how our perspective will go, right? Like 3-4 lines are usually enough, and then through that we can establish already the vanishing point, and from there we can start adding more lines, right? There are also tools available. I know that Photoshop has a tool. 3D, like Blender, is an amazing tool to back engineer perspective on. Do these exercises. That is an example of some foundational skill, right? There's no doubt about it that is part of your fundamental skill. So yeah. A little bit tricky lighting here, but getting there. I want to spend some time on the accents, so I believe that they will be I will make them on a separate layer, so I can change the color later if I want. So here I imagine that the front will be dark because it will be made out of a harder material. When a spaceship, especially spaceships, when they enter an atmosphere, there is a lot of friction and heat going on. So you want to make sure that your front is protected from these kinds of right? It's like basically when the reason why a meteor is basically burning is because it goes with such a high speed through the atmosphere that it just catches fire through the heat of our atmosphere, right? So when I know that star TIE fighters, they don't have like the hyperdrive, but they do have the ability to fly in atmosphere and outside of the atmosphere. So that will be cool to kind of like show with a visual design language that, hey, you know, like how would it look like, you know, if that material was done in a different accent, right? So it's like a higher quality material, and then we can repeat it somewhere like here. I kind of did like a landing gear that can, you know, pop open like this, so it can land more stable when it is not landing in its hangar on a Star Destroyer. We can always make it darker now. See, that's kind of cool. The light is coming here like kind of from the front, right? So we want to definitely pop the light here in the front. This is sloped backwards, so it will not catch too much light on this face, but it will catch enough light on this surface here, right? And here, here, and all these little holes, right? Yeah, I'm really curious what you guys will come up with. Also, when you are doing this design, immerse yourself completely into this world, right? So think about, you know, the whole culture of a certain faction that you'll be working with, and in this case, it is Star Wars and it is the Empire. So immerse yourself how.
Okay, we have a few questions. I don't know, do you hear me now better? I'm trying to figure out. I was asking, do you hear me now better? But I see not really. Yeah, I was asking if you hear me better, but okay, I think it's something happened with the audio. Yeah, I think I was checking something. I think we can use the audio. Do you hear me? Do you hear now? Michał, can you say something?
Guys, can someone maybe write in the chat if you can hear Wojtek clearly? Because
yeah, I think it's something happened that.
Oh, they said they lost me, so I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
They say in the chat they cannot hear me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, do you hear us out now? Because I think there's also this delay.
I can hear you, but people say that they cannot hear me, so that's kind of.
Yeah, but there's like small delay, so we read like in live, and it's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you now hear me and Michal, like quite good.
I am hearable again, yeah?
Yeah, I hear Michal, yeah. Okay, great. So I think we once again with the voice. Yeah, so I have the question about your technique. If you would break down your coloring rendering process into steps, what those be? For example, base color, shadow, shapes, light, etc.
Yeah, so kind of it usually I usually, sometimes there are exceptions, but usually what I like to do is to establish a little bit the local color. So the local color is basically well, we talk about it extensively in class as well, how to define a local value, local color, but it's somewhere between, you know, the lightest point and your darkest point, right? So if we color pick, we can see that our local colors here somewhere in the middle, right here on our screen. And I just make a nice quick value fill on top of that line drawing in this case, right? Because we are working on a line drawing. And what I like doing is to, you know, block in kind of the shadows first, because, well, that gives us depth the fastest, basically, to block in the shadows as soon as we can. And then and then I start adding the highlights very slowly, but I don't want to overblow it, right? Meaning that I don't want to have highlights that are extremely white, right? So I build it up slowly, right? So for example, now my lightest point is here around the cockpit, right? Like where the light is hitting. I kind of changed the lighting already, because like when I zoomed out, it would take me longer to kind of make it cool with the light coming from the front and from the side. So I kind of tone it down a little bit. I noticed that this also needs to be a slightly different color, like, because this is a face that bends away from the light source slightly. And then here we have another bevel that will catch the lighting, right? And then what I imagine here at accent 1, we can show the glass a little bit more, right? And the glass will be like more reflective. It will react to light in a more aggressive way. So you can definitely start, you know, popping in some nice quick tricks. What I also like to do, and just maybe, you know, make a nice highlight, right? Here we can change the color a little bit, right, to like more purplish, you know, and that it, you know, refracts through the glass a little bit. And then here around. Oh, by the way, I work very zoomed out, right? And again, the reason is so I can just see it better as a whole image, right? This is still like fun rendering, establishing light process, while keeping in mind what kind of lighting would work the best for this design, right? So I want the quality to be like kind of like this. This is also still not finished. It was all done in between work, like the line art is kind of like peeking through. But it needs to be more detailed than definitely. Like I didn't want to do another quick value sketch for this one, because you can find it plenty on our YouTube channel, like how I just, you know, quickly do the kind of marker style sketches. An example of that can be found here. Let me open it up. Like for example, the Abrams tank that we did last term on week 1 advanced hardware design, right? So here the line art is like completely visible. I kept it visible on purpose, and like in a stylistic way, I just, you know, popped in, you know, a quick render, right? I believe the whole line art was done in class, and then I think I started the value sketch, and then I finished it quickly with some shades after the class. That's what I like doing, and that is how I tackle, right? So local colors first, usually, shadows first, you know, to establish, you know, the darkest points, but don't go like too dark too fast. And then, of course, you know, start adding these juicy highlights, right? So, for example, here for the window, for the cockpit here, because this cockpit goes like also in the back, right? Like it goes through around the rear. So if ever I decide this design to develop further, I will definitely, you know, showcase how it will look like from the rear, because I already have an idea how it will look from the rear. But for now, I just really want to just showcase that there is, you know, like this nice ambient glass effect going on, right? So that's kind of cool. And then here, you know, lights get trapped and it's like it has more of an inset. So we can treat that very quickly, right? So these are already like presentational aspects already, right? Because the design is kind of ready. Well, not super ready, but you know, it serves like a semi-nice detailed sketch, right? Like in the industry, it will have enough information to work on, you know, but what if you have to define the materials? What if you have to, you know, go and, you know, make a presentable piece out of it? And when I talk presentation, is like, do you like to drink water from a plastic bottle, or would you like to have it served cold in a nice glass and with a nice lemon? You know, it's still water, but it's the presentation that matters, right? And yeah, that is where our artsy skills come into place, where we definitely like to show off, you know, those artsy aspect, right? So lights get kind of trapped here, maybe some red accents peeking through. Maybe some self-reflection. Maybe in a different color. Maybe, you know, because of the glass, it's like. There you go. Here do I have also some self-reflection going on. Can maybe even exaggerate that reflectiveness here a little bit, right? So it has like the same color. Like here it is very aggressive because like hitting from the top. And then if I will be starting to draw and paint on top of this line drawing, then I will definitely treat these bevels, you know, with a nice highlight. But only, of course, if the light is hitting from that angle, right? So the light is hitting again, kind of from the same angle as the camera is shining on it, right? So you want to, so in that case, I think that this line over here will catch some nice, rather juicy lighting, right? And because, you know, the light is coming from the top, you know, this top will be pretty much also like exposed to light as well, right? So you can definitely put more light here on the top, on this edge, and then here on this slope, because usually it's on the slopes where light gets hit the most, right? Like, of course, well, I will not explain fully how light works everywhere, but like most of the time light, like objects look good if light comes down on them from like a 45 kind of degree angle. That makes these highlights and bevels pop better. It's a nice and quite easy trick, right? Just like I'm doing here, right? So with this line over here, this line over here, I will now treat the windows a little bit here, right? I want them to feel, I want them to have a thick feeling, because in the end, you know, again, I want to really reinforce that it is a spaceship, right? In the end, it is a spaceship, the TIE fighter, right? And I like how the original is treating the cockpit. You know, it looks like from a World War II kind of bomber fighter. You know, that is, by the way, the reference of Star Wars. You know, a lot of World War II elements are like hidden in there. But here, taking as well into consideration that this is in the future, I really want to showcase that it is a spaceship, and it uses some elements that we see in like spacecraft today, right? So thicker windows, so it can handle, you know, the pressure, and because it needs to maintain a human-like pressure inside of the cabin, right? In space, there is like, it's empty. There's no atmosphere, nothing, right? So yeah. I think now with these we can.
Okay. Other questions. Your thoughts about iPad as a tool for concept artists. Have you ever used it? No. Any concept artists who use it regularly in their work?
So who asked this question? Because I will have to read it. I'm sorry. We have to fix this issue for the next time, because every time you talk, Wojtek, it's just a disaster. I cannot understand. Like sometimes it's good, but can you maybe repeat now?
Yeah. Sorry, I have to. Your thoughts about iPad as a tool for concept artists. Have you ever used it? Know any concept artists who use it regularly in their work?
Yeah, so I think the iPad is an amazing tool. I do know indeed quite some people that use it as their like portable way of generating ideas on the fly. And don't get me wrong, I love Apple products. I think they're designed well and they're optimized. But I have like this principle in life that it's just too overpriced, man. Like the prices are, especially now, they're loony. It's not normal. Like especially here in Poland. Like I think in the US they are cheaper, but I think like the cheapest version of the iPad is like 18,000 zlotys. So like what can I do, which is equivalent to around $4,000. So when I think about what can I do with $4,000, right? Well, I can buy a vast array of Copic marker sketches, tons of canvases and paper. I can buy all sorts of other art tools. I can buy several Wacom tablets for it. So that's just, you know, there is a principle in life, I believe. It's a very beautiful tool, don't get me wrong, and I kind of considered buying it. But then I was thinking how much I'll be using that, you know. Will I be using it professionally? Probably not, because I'm super happy with my desktop at my home office. I'm really happy with my laptop when I'm on the move all the time. So there is no need to have, you know, another portable machine for me. But that's only me. I think they're overpriced. If the price would be better, I'd probably get one. But the prices are just too loony right now. I am not going to pay, you know, $5,000 or something just to sketch once in a while, because I would use it probably mainly for sketching, and I already have tools for sketching, so it's like, you know. But hey, whatever works for you guys, really. We have tons of students coming in with an iPad also, you know, like instead of a laptop, you know, a laptop can be clunky, you know, I understand it. I understand the reasoning. Clunky and big, but and an iPad just gives you tons and tons of creative freedom, I think. So yeah, freedom in your mobility, basically. Yeah. I'm just drawing here along, guys. I hope that you have been enjoying it so far. If there are also any questions in regards to, you know, the contest, you know, I'll be I'll be, of course, more than happy to help you out. If there are also questions related to art overall, industry questions, let me know. This is it's a nice way to sync up with the community again. And I just really wish that the communication was better with Wojtek. I hope that, by the way, can someone in the chat let me know if the communication, like when you hear Wojtek speaking, please let me know if you hear him speaking clearly, or do you have the same disturbance going on as I do, because I was not able to make out any words that he was saying. So that was...
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah. It's like we test everything previously, it's worked fine, and now this is a bit of working life.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, we have a question about industry. It's better to be good at everything, or let's say be very good at just environments?
Is it better to be just good at everything, or better to just be good at environments?
No, like just specific one. Just going wide to know everything, or just focus on one aspect?
Right. Yeah, good question, but I think it really needs to come down to what you believe would work the best for you, right? So from a professional standpoint, like, okay, I like concept art, but I also, so let's say like you're thinking, okay, I like concept art, I want to pursue it, but I want to guarantee myself a job as fast as I can, right? And a lot of people are in that situation. They cannot afford to just, work on their passion endlessly, So you have to work efficiently, right? And, that can put you into stress, whatnot. But in the end, if it's really your dream, then we just do it and continue with it. But you want to mix kind of the two of both worlds, right? Or like maybe not too much, like you don't want to pursue animation if animation is, a more demanded job in our industry if you want to become a concept artist, right? That's maybe too extreme. But what can be said definitely is like, okay, I want to become a concept artist. And for example, in my case, right, I really, really love hardware design. And that's what I can do, all day. Probably not all day because I like the versatility, but mainly I love vehicle concept design, right? But then will I able to afford and land my first job doing only that, right? Probably not. So that is why I focus on my fundamentals to be kind of versatile and not maybe good at everything because, well, I feel like I'm never good enough, and especially in the beginning, so I was not good, but I was, able to deliver ideas not limited only to vehicle design, right? And that was because I tried to see shapes as one, right? Everything consists out of shapes anyway. If it's a character, mech, a TIE fighter, everything needs shapes to, visualize. Everything needs light to be seen. And taking that effective route allowed me in my early days to learn in that sphere. So instead of, focusing only like, okay, I'm going to, brute force myself through anatomy, right? And I'm going to like by force and out of memory, just hammer, silhouettes and gesture drawings, right? And then, okay, I want to become better at environment. So I'm only photo bashing and only in that specific style to really draw and paint these beautiful castle ruin landscapes that everyone likes in ArtStation, right? But what instead, if you see an anatomy drawing and a castle ruin environment as one thing, right? They all need 3D space to be seen. They all need perspective. They all need, color, shadow to be seen. They are all consisting out of shapes, right? So when you realize that, kind of, the realization comes in front of you that it is not the matter of learning everything through brute force, you know, like a topic after topic, right? Like, okay, I'm going to take a class only characters. Oh, I'm going to take a class only hardware design, only environment. You can do that because each and every section has their own upsides, downsides, things to know, things to avoid. But the main thing that people forget, I think, and from what I see, is the fundamentals, right? So yeah. I would focus in the end on like I would not change much from my path except for like doing more studies, being early on more aware of my environment. Yeah, so that's for sure.
Okay,
some more blue light going on here.
Yeah, I think we have a few questions now, and we are slowly reaching the end of the live.
Jesus, already?
Yeah.
I didn't even manage to finish this.
Yeah, so once I don't read that one. It is fine to study from existing concept art work of seniors in order to understand their thoughts process, or would we lose our uniques by that, as their work may reflect in our own work? So it's good to, shortly, it's good to study existing concept artists, or better avoid it.
I think it is very nice and useful to study existing concept artists because you can kind of like analyze what they're going through. We also do these kinds of exercises at school during our advanced digital painting. We go through especially old masters, right? So we're talking about Clyde Espevik, Richard Smith, the well-known Dutch artists as well, like Vredenburg. They are, they are the pinnacle and the forefathers of amazing good art, right? With their own reinterpretation, how they were perceiving reality, and that's just beautiful to lecture about, to talk about, and it is an amazing, useful tool to study existing concept arts, right? So we also do. Often we also study the works of Sid Mead, right, which we call the father of concept art, right? So it's definitely useful, but don't fall into the trap that is your way to achieve being a good concept artist, right? Remember that if you pursue the career of being a concept artist, you are pursuing a career of delivering ideas. Ideas need to be, well, original, right? The client needs to sense that idea is original and that is really a unique thing that they're paying for. So if you become, like, for example, another Sid Mead, right? Are you that valuable? Maybe. I'm not here to judge, of course. But I found that true successful concept artists, like, oh, that's his style. That's his or her thing. That is the way to acknowledge that, okay, that particular individual developed their own style to and their own way of how they reinterpret reality. And to me, that is extremely useful. And I myself studied a lot of works, concept artworks. I did like a lot of iterations of concept artists like Feng Zhu, Ryan Church. Like I really, really wanted to paint and draw like them. And over time, I realized it's not about that, right? I want to pursue my own style. But that came kind of also automatic, right? Like as long as you like hammer down on your fundamentals, you learn about design, you really go like serious, and you pursue it in a serious way, you start really noticing that it comes down automatically, right? Don't stress about it too much. Like, where's my own style? Shall I copy other artists? You can do it as an experiment, as a learning thing. But yeah, I would also not advise to put works like that in your portfolio, right? If you're looking for a job, especially right now, I don't want to sound arrogant, but like my portfolio, for example, if you go on my ArtStation, like I don't have the portfolio of like a job-friendly portfolio. Like an art director might look at my portfolio and say like, well, that's, you know, that's not really what we're looking for. But I know that my portfolio now, when you go, it consists of like only tons of sketches recently, because that's what I have time to do in between school and in between professional work, right? So if I wanted to now look for a job, I would definitely have some amazing projects. I would have, you know, for example, way more rendered out pieces backed up by iteration sketches. And you can still find some of them, but I have like a lot of like sketches, school demos. So yeah. And that is, of course, a thing to watch out. Another topic to talk about, right? Like what kind of works to present in your portfolio, so that you become a blip on the radar for art directors, right? Because usually art directors, senior concept artists that go like on ArtStation, for example, and look for an artist to join their project, right? So so yeah, here's some nice highlights.
Okay, so regarding to the contest, is there any general tips or feedback on the work in progress you've seen so far?
Yeah, we can talk as a closing matter on it, definitely. I will. Well, since we didn't finish this one completely, and I actually planned this one to execute it in this style, but like midway through, I wanted to like do it like in a fully rendered style. So I think this will take me like another 2-3 hours to like be fully happy about it. We didn't like the engine cooling compartment is not shown here as well, as you can guys see. Like it's not rendered out, but if you zoom in, like I actually spent some time in detail. So this is like the original TIE fighter. I think the advanced TIE fighter has like this nice engine cooler, I think, is sitting on the back. Yeah, I wanted to incorporate something like that in the redesign as well. Oh, it's a color dodge, that's why it's like, I think I have to, wrong layer. Oh no, okay, hold on guys. I think I made a slight mess up. Okay. Yeah, I was painting on my line layer. So if I go to accent 1, so this one basically will be like an exposed detail on the back, right? Like the original TIE fighter has, right? And maybe I will add some exposure here as well later. But I like where kind of this is going, like these quality part segments that are like in the front, kind of what I have in the first variation. But in the first variation, I only have it kind of here on front, and the wings are untouched. But here, you know, all the front parts are basically covered with this different, more high quality material. And then on the back, I imagine that this cooler is kind of also like we have it in this here, like, but the different design, right? So there's like, I like the contrast between, you know, sleek body shapes that are enveloped in a nice casing, and then of course, because it's Star Wars, we like to, you know, make some detail pop out, make it a little bit less clean, you know, like here there is like a rim frame that is, of course, also out of a higher quality material, and there was no other efficient way to cover it, so it just is exposed. But it is exposed according to, you know, a nice design flow, and we want to make it work. So we have a nice contrast between details, and a lot of breathing space with these red paneling going on, right? Similar in this one, same philosophy, but yeah, different sub-design language, so to speak, right? And way more pointier cockpit. So So yeah, let's look at some examples on Discord. Like I can give some like collective feedback, I think, right? So you can see here some, let's, for example, this one. I think I commented on this one, if I'm not mistaken. What I like about this one, it is definitely keeping the iconic, the iconic shape, right? So I can really see that that this individual here really took the briefing to heart, you know, like the form factor is really maintained. I see, you know, the same format, but again, a different subdivisional language. I really like here these kind of intakes, these negative spaces. I really like this effect going on when like half of it is another color. Something that I also thought about, really, really cool. Maybe you can transfer that to the wings, right? So a lot of potential. What I really don't like is the number 5 here. It looks like very fragile. It doesn't look solid. It looks like some kind of flyer, like made out of paper, like very like a flag. Here, this inner detail feels like it's some kind of spider web. I don't know, right? So it's very at certain areas it is very you know, weird to think about how it will take place in the real world, right? Good example might be this variation where I can immerse myself that, oh, this is a nice suggestive detail. I like the detail that goes around here. Nice design flow as well. So there are less random lines. Everything is being kept simple. Here I see more randomness, right? Lines that are like bashing into each other, and my eyes go here to this center point for no reason. This should be just a connection point, right? Like here, so, right? So this way, this works better, this works better. Here we have too many lines that collide with one another, and it just destroys the flow of the design. Design philosophy is one of the main topics we talk about at school. It's one of the hardest to teach because it really mixes your own creativity with what is going out in the real world, being a very strong observer. Being a very strong observer of the real world and nature. Don't forget nature. Nature, when I talk about, okay, look at, you know, the real empires, real culture, human-made architecture. Don't skip nature, right? That's the best designer there is, right? Like 4.5 billion years is our planet, and nature has been developing since then, right? Everything has been forming since then, and life then came later, and life became, you know, when you look at the design of fishes and insects, that's just mind-blowing designs all over the place, right? You just got to be efficient where you look, right? And I wanted to, instead of drawing to the end, maybe I want to, the last 2 minutes I want to spend on the reference taking aspect, right? At the beginning of our stream, I popped out this ref sheet, right? That I use as my main ref sheet for my TIE fighter. But I didn't talk in depth, you know, how I tackle what I think of reference. And I want to, you know, give a very short version of what we talk about at school. I don't know why it is twisted like that, but who cares? Let's do it twisted. I cannot rotate it again back for some reason. When it comes to reference, again, nature is your ally almost in every single design, right? I will not go into depth because that will cost us at least another hour. But what I want to stress out, guys, that is very important to look where to look for reference. So for example, when you think Star Wars, redesigning a TIE fighter, you automatically will probably look at how the real TIE fighter looks like, how some other variations look like, and maybe you will look at modern jet fighters, how they're sleeky, right? That's like the logic place to look to, right? But what about if you want to have a more emotional aspect of reference taking, right? You would only, for example, a beginner concept artist might use this kind of reference, also from Star Wars, but only in the event if they are going to redesign the Darth Vader helmet, right? That makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to redesign Darth Vader helmet. I need to know again how the original is being designed and how it is constructed. However, we can take a lot of reference from other things that are totally not related theme-wise, right? So of course, Star Wars is Star Wars, so it's the same theme, but this is a mask helmet and we are designing a spaceship. But we can extract a lot of design details and a lot of emotional reference taking from the Darth Vader helmet. The Darth Vader helmet is pointy, square, looks aggressive, is dark. How can we infuse these kind of feelings and emotions in our TIE fighter, for example, right? So for example, I really like here when the helmet opens, right? When the helmet opens of Darth Vader. What I was always a fan of is the design, how this is like flat, right? This is like without the head, right? This is like a flat, nice opening, and there are like some details coming out, you know, that's a nice, really, like Italians call their pasta al dente. That's like top-notch al dente spot on design feature, right? Nice and curvy here, but then it starts to cut through the middle, and that just creates a very aggressive shape, right? And I kind of like wanted to mimic that, right? I wanted to like here have some, hold on, just making a new layer. In this design, I wanted to have, you know, nice flatness going on, just like we see in the opening of the Darth Vader helmet, and then have here some complexity going on. And then the head kind of being the cockpit, you know, because you need to see the head kind of like starts to peek out like a predator from this surface, basically. And that creates this, that's where I derive this interesting shape from, right? So instead of it now being like a simple ball, you know, I imagine that, you know, the first generation 300 years ago, TIE fighters would, you know, look like a very simple ball, you know, but as time develops, then, you know, the Empire has the luxury now to also indulge themselves in the emotional aspect, and they want to show some aesthetics, you know. They want to shine with, you know, a certain design language, just like the Romans did, right? Like when you look at Roman armor, like the generals especially, they had like very fancy aesthetics around their functional armor, because the armor was functional, but the aesthetics, the sub-design language around it was very aesthetically driven. So you can see their status, you can see what they're all about, you can see you can see what they're trying to portray and to communicate. Cars are a good example of today's example, right? A car is a car, you know, metal box and 4 wheels, you know. If it gets you to point A to B, then you're done. But some people like to showcase their status, or they're fans of cars, and they want, you know, a better car, you know, with a premium sound system, so they can enjoy the ride. And that is, you know, where cultures comes in, status. Think about these aspects when you're designing, right? The Empire wants to showcase their status. They want to portray fear and dominance, right? That's what they were all about, right? They were not, you know, trying to win over people with, you know, from what I know, win over people with, you know, very nice policies. No, like for example, General Tarkin, he was like a major oppressor. Like from what I know from the lore, please correct me again, I might be wrong, but he was really a general that like really tried to dominate the galaxy with fear, right? You know, the Death Star, you know, like the massive resources that go into such a menacing machine are not to, you know, make a better life for a civilian in the Empire. It's just to keep them in order and in place, right? So yeah, keep all these things in mind, guys. Yeah, other than that, what can I say? If there are any other closing important questions, Wojtek, that you picked up, then we can talk about that. Other than that, I'm ready to wrap up and maybe finish this one during our open draw sessions on Discord. I'll see if I have the time, but I definitely want to finish this one. So yeah.
Yeah, so we have, I think, 3 last questions. One is about overall tip for portfolio. One is do the environment, vehicle or prop artist need to have pro knowledge about figure drawing, characters, designs in industry, or just a basic knowledge of that. And one is about the focal point score. Do you have any plans for the upcoming terms? Do you will be focusing more on the science fiction themes or other for the student assignments? Yeah.
Okay, so again, I was not able to understand you. So please give some portfolio tips. You said.
Yeah, for one was please give some portfolio tips.
Yeah, portfolio tips is maybe I will be able to find something useful for you guys. Like a good example of a portfolio. I think. This is one of our students that was with us. So I want you to I don't want to show Darek's portfolio or my portfolio all the time. Let's see what a junior portfolio, like a start of a good portfolio should look like, right? I remember that this guy made leaps and leaps forward. I remember him joining, and I'm not saying it's only thanks to our school. No, his work ethic, the way how he was going through each and every class. I think he took the full advanced term, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. But here you see a nice array of, a useful portfolio of junior concept artists, right? Here we see, studies collection, right? So, okay, well, it's not maybe directly useful for work, but I can say, hey, this individual is busy improving himself, right? There's an array of nice studies going on, and I can see that he understands lighting. He understands the values are mostly spot on, right? And this guy is definitely going towards a very, very good direction. Oh, I didn't even like it. Then we have some concept art. So I think this one is or from the last contest, or this was also done during our advanced term when we do final tasks at the end of the term, where you have 3 weeks after the end of the term. So actually it doesn't end right after the classes end. You'll have 3 weeks to finish your final task, and these were his explorations. So the task was to take screenshots from The Witcher 1, which is, an outdated game by now. And sometimes we have these, remasters, or how to revive, a certain game with today's technology. And concept art is, again, not only vehicle design, but here is another good example that this guy is showing that, hey, I can take the screenshot and make it up to standards of today's video games, right? So he's increasing the prop count, he's making it more interesting. There are some water splashes. The architecture is more interesting. There's some variety in the architecture. Back in the day, in 2004-5, this game came out. It was impossible, right? So that's a nice skill to have. And then he's showing another skill. So this was, I think, Darek's environment class that he took. So I think Darek was the one providing the block out, and then the students draw on top of it. So they give again the subdivisional design language on top of that, right? Prop count, destruction, make it more interesting, more attractive for the player, right? So his line drawing skills, again, strong fundamentals. This was for the hardware class, the class that I teach, for my class, and you can see again he's sketching, he's loose. Nice line art, nice variations, I'm very strict about hard design, so there is much to desire, but believe me, the first sketches looked terrible, and this is going really, really to a very nice direction. He's understanding his own shapes, right? So you can see, front, side, top, etc. I think that this is a good example how a good portfolio looks like, right? You're on the way. This one is also very nice, right? So you're showing, okay, a full illustration, right? Very moody, nice, but what was his thought process behind it? What are the variations? It's awesome, right? This is already awesome, right? Very cool structures growing around it, you know, something that is not super visible in a complete illustration, because there is mist, there's this going on, there are other objects, but are you also able to take this windmill, make variations out of it, and show me what the props are, how the player can go around it if it's for a video game, how the lighting will work if it's a movie, for example. Movie games doesn't matter these days that much anyway, I believe. So yeah, that is a nice example, I believe. Yeah, there are tons of other examples. I just had this, I just thought of this guy randomly because I think I saw his work popping up not so long ago. And it is always amazing to see our students' work popping up and see how they are doing. It's, like I said, for us both, it is an amazing, satisfactory thing to experience. So yeah. And plans for the upcoming term, we will think on the fly about the themes, but we rather focus on updating our lectures, our knowledge channeling, how we focus on channeling the fundamental skills, how we channel on, you know, channeling the more advanced skills during the advanced class as well. So that always changes from term to term. I think reoccurring students that come from term to term sometimes can acknowledge that. If you have questions, you can always email the school, and Wojtek will be probably the one first in line to answer you. You can also ask former, current students that joined. I guess then you'll get a non-biased opinion, right? So definitely do that so you know what you're getting yourself into. Other than that, yeah, we are extremely excited. We are both working, me and Darek already working hard towards fall term to make it again the best term that we can have. So yeah, that will be from my side, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's almost everything. Yeah, there's only one question about environment, vehicle artists. Do they need to know also have the pro knowledge about figure drawing, or just the basic will be enough?
Okay, so I'll have to, I was not able to understand that. So there was something about vehicle or environment or something?
Yes, from ICE, also from ICE, just before the portfolio tips. Yeah. And I think it will be the last question that we answer today.
Yeah, let's... Okay, do the environment artists, vehicle artists, prop artists need to have pro knowledge of figure drawing, character design industry, or just the basic knowledge of that? And I think, well, the more you know, the better. I think knowing your anatomy skills is also very important, because what if you want to add a quick pose for scale into your drawing or into your environment? You know, it provides you with freedom in the end. You know, if you don't know your anatomy, then you have to like look for poses. You have to maybe copy them in, photo bash them in. But if you organically are able to like sketch everything out, you know, yeah, that is a very, very good skill. I think you don't need to know like every single human muscle in order to even draw a pretty detailed anatomy study. But yeah, the more you know, the better. Like I always repeat also in class, that you don't have to be an engineer, for example, or an architect to do environment design well, or you don't have to be an engineer to do vehicle design well. But if you're a concept artist with architecture or architect background or an engineer background, well, more power to you, because now you have more real life knowledge. And our job is all about, you know, the more you know, the better, right? It's not necessary. It's a creative process in the end. You know, what you might find handy might be maybe not so handy for the other person, and the other way around. But yeah, the more you know, the better. Don't stress too much about knowing everything at the same time. Focus one upon a time, but maintain consistency in your workflow, right? something that we do at school, right? Like we really motivate and keep track of all the students. So consistency, week by week, they provide a certain array of works that we upkeep every single week. And then within 6 or 8 weeks, most of them tell us that they've done more work than in the past 6 months or in the past year, right? Apart from gathering also more knowledge and meeting their peers and working together after class and in class. Beautiful thing to witness and to experience, I would say. So yeah.
Okay, I hope you hear me well. So I think it's all the questions for today. So I can switch to.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks
camera.
For letting me talk for so long, guys. Really.
Yeah. So I switched to our camera so you can see Michał and me. So I hope you like the stream. Sorry for the issues. I hope the next one will be better. Unfortunately, we're using a new software, so this can be a bit problem. That's why even it was not problems, but I hope we manage them to the next time. So thank you, Michał. Thank you for your time, for your drawing skills and your show. Do you have any last words for our guests, our listeners?
Well, I just want to say a big thank you for everyone that gives that is spending time on our contest. It's a thing that brings us together, I think, as a community, and of course we have also something in return for you guys. So for the winner, we have a free class to your liking. Other than that, thank you for attending. Thank you for listening to me all this time. Thank you for joining me on the demo. Next time, maybe it will be like that I do something faster from start to finish, and where I'll be able to answer questions on the fly. With Wojtek's disturbance, it was a little bit difficult. But other than that, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And see you guys next time. And hopefully in class, who knows? We are working hard for our upcoming term. Stay healthy and stay creative. Yeah. And thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. So, see ya. See you on the Discord, in the school, and bye.
Bye-bye.